Thank you so much for joining us. We are thrilled that you're here. We're thrilled that you've chosen Flagler. My name is Dr. Rachel Cremona, and I'm the Dean of the School of Liberal Arts and Sciences at Flagler, which is also the largest academic school at the college. Um, we include the departments of behavioral sciences, natural sciences, humanities, education, and math and computer information systems. We are also the home to Flagler's two master's programs in public administration and deaf education. So our session today is really, the goal of this webinar is to really kind of make you a little more confident and comfortable with what to expect academically as you start your college career at Flagler. And so for that reason, we have representatives of all our academic departments here today. And I'm going to have them introduce themselves first and tell you a bit about their departments before we get started. So, Dr. Grant, would you like to begin?
Hi, I am Dr. Carrie Grant, and I'm the chairman of the Math and Technology Department here at Flagler College. In our department, we host three majors and three minors. We have a major and minor in mathematics, a major and minor in computer information systems, and a major and minor in data science. The data science major is a interdisciplinary curriculum where it's really half mathematics and half computer information systems. Welcome to Flagler.
Wonderful. Thank you, Dr. Grant. Professor Butler.
Yes, I'm Dr. Mike Butler. I'm chair of the Humanities Department here at Flagler College, and the Humanities Department comprises the largest department within the largest school at Flagler College. We consist of history, of course, political science, religion and philosophy, modern languages, anthropology. So it is an all-encompassing department, which is really interdisciplinary. If you take courses in anthropology or political science, odds are you're going to take a history or religion class, vice versa. So I am excited about working with new students and look forward to getting to know you as you attend Flagler College. Thank you, Dr. Cremona.
Thank you. Professor Litzinger.
Good afternoon. Thank you for joining us this afternoon. I always like to first start by saying I'm the resident alumni of the group. I graduated a long time ago, but life comes back full circle, right? So I am now teaching full time in the behavioral sciences department. I am also the chair of the behavioral sciences department, which is really weird if you think about that. Um, our department includes some of the most popular majors: psychology, criminology, and sociology. They're very complementary. In fact, we oftentimes see our students double majoring or a major and a minor. We also have a minor peace, conflict, and genocide as well, which is a relatively new minor. But yeah, we look forward to seeing you and maybe coming back as alumni one day.
Thank you. Professor Dwaram, would you like to talk a bit about our natural science department?
Yes, absolutely. So my name is Dr. Duaho. I'm part of the Natural Sciences Department. Our department houses two majors, so coastal environmental science and biology, which is the newer of the two. We also have minors in both of those disciplines, and we also have a minor in health science and a minor in sustainability that are housed within our department. So we're very excited to meet this new group of student scientists, and we hope to see you around campus very soon.
Okay, thank you. And Professor Thomas, would you like to tell us a bit about education?
Hello, I am Wildelyn Thomas, and our programs, we actually span into five actual programs, one being elementary, one is secondary English, another is secondary mathematics, and then we also offer two dual major pathways. And so Our graduates would graduate with both elementary and exceptional student education or elementary and deaf education. And as Dean Cremona mentioned as well, we have one of the graduate programs in deaf education. And so something unique also is that we are one of 2 programs in the entire state to offer deaf education pathways. So our professors, I can commend, are very knowledgeable, they're caring, and they're very dedicated. So welcome to Flagler College.
Thank you so much. And before we move on, we just had a late arrival, our department chair from Natural Sciences, Dr. McGinley. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Absolutely. Thank you, Dr. Cremona. My name is Dr. Ed McGinley. I am the department chair for natural sciences going into year 2. I wasn't sure if I'd be able to make it. I was volunteering with the summer camp. One of the things we'll talk about with our science program is undergraduate research. So I'll put a plug in for that. Getting involved. I'm sure some of the questions will center around that as we move through this webinar. But I wanted to make sure the department was represented. So I asked Dr. Doran to fill in just in case I couldn't make it. But I was able to come back and love being part of these webinars. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. McGinley. So as I said, the real purpose of this, I know as new students, you will have already received a ton of information about logistics at Flagler, but we really wanted to talk about your academic experience and maybe ease any concerns that you guys have. Obviously, we are happy to answer questions. Please feel free to put things in the Q&A and we'll get to those towards the end. But we'll start off by talking just a bit about what your life will look like academically at Flagler. So what I'd like to ask our panelists really is to talk a little bit to our students about what their typical week will look like in your disciplines as they start their academic journey. What kind of expectations there'll be for kind of work beyond the classroom, whether that's reading, independent study. Do you do much group work or is it primarily solo? How much writing, lab time, those types of things. Just things we kind of take for granted here, but for students new to the college life, all of this is kind of new and exciting. So, Ed, let's start with you.
Absolutely. So all of our science classes, minus maybe 1 or 2, do have labs associated with them. Brand new students coming in will take core classes. There's core classes that kind of are housed in different disciplines. We have kind of an environmental science-based core class. Our labs for the core will last about an hour and 45 minutes. We do have 4 credit classes in the biology major. The labs will last 2 hours and 45 minutes. So as you're starting out, you probably won't be taking a lot of lab courses your first semester. Second semester, you'll start to take more. Probably sophomore year, you'll really get into your major and your lab classes. But in terms of, I'm pretty sure my colleagues will echo this, lots of reading. We ask that you read the syllabus. We ask that you read the assignments we put out for you. We're not doing this to be mean. We're doing this because we want you to kind of be able to do what we're asking. So there is going to be a workload outside of class. It's not just go to class and then you're done until next week. There's opportunities to talk to your professors, but kind of one thing I will just say as my last point is work on your time management, because it is going to be a lot of expectations. And there's also going to be a lot of distractions. You know, you're moving away from home. It's exciting. We have all been in that boat. So make sure you're putting your academics first, because that's why you're here. Those assignments, they will pile up if you do not kind of take advantage of them. So there, I'll kind of stop and let others chime in as well.
Thank you so much, Dr. McGinley. Dr. Grant, since all of our incoming students are likely to be taking something in math as they come in, maybe you could talk a little bit about those expectations.
Yeah, sure. So all students at Flagler College are required to take Intro Statistics, which is actually offered as our core 140 classes, 141, 142, 143, and 144. So most students will start off with a core class in their fall semester, but some students that are in a discipline that requires mathematics beyond the core are often placed in that particular math course their first semester. So, for example, in this particular realm with students only in this particular school, if you're a student majoring in biology or natural or coastal environmental science, you need to complete at least Calculus 1. So all students are required to take a placement test. And so those students that are in the coastal environmental science biology might start off with college algebra or pre-calculus or maybe even calculus. That's the same thing for our math majors. They also will be placed in the math course appropriate for their level. But students who are majoring in a discipline that does not require a particular math course, possibly history, the core class is the only course they have to take. And sometimes that gets confusing for students, but the core is a basic introductory statistics course. In discipline-wise, in my department, if you are as I said, a math major, you'll start based on your placement in math. You may actually have two classes. You'll probably have the core and a math course. If you're in computer information systems, you'll start with your CIS 200, which is Introduction to Information Systems. And if you're a data science major, it's important that you take the Intro to Python your first semester because that particular course is only offered in the fall semester. So that'll get you started in the sequence correctly. But everyone has their own journey in mathematics. Mathematics is very linear. Remember that we go from one course to another. You can't just say, hey, I really placed into college algebra, but I only need calculus. So why don't I just take calculus? What we're trying to do is make sure you're successful by building your skills as you get to the next level. So math courses, typically you'll have individual work, some group work in the core class, as well as any statistics-based courses, computer information courses, data science courses. You typically have a synthesized group project at the end of the course. But otherwise, math is, you got to do the homework. You got to practice. And practice is the way to get better at your skill, and especially in mathematics. So that's it. Welcome. Thank you, Dr. Cremona.
Thank you. Dr. Litzinger, the behavioral sciences, what are the kind of things that students can expect in their first month in terms of those classes?
Well, to piggyback on what Dr. McGinley and Dr. Grant mentioned, in addition to the academic rigor, of course, and preparation and reading and practice, there also are good distractions, like getting involved with, for instance, we have the psychology club, and that is going to be a good resource for our behavioral sciences majors and minors, because you can form study groups and model good, studying behaviors to prepare you for, your current coursework and also your advanced coursework. Obviously, we've already touched on the core courses being your main focus and emphasis in your first year. However, in behavioral sciences, we have introductory courses that you can take as an incoming freshman, and even 200 level courses. Just like Dr. Grant mentioned, Intro to Statistics is a core course that everyone takes. Well, your next step in a series of courses is research methods. So that could very well be on your plate pretty early. But yeah, so take advantage of some of those good distractions that might support you and help you learn the skills to be successful in all of your courses going forward. Thank you.
Dr. Butler, the humanities. What kinds of things should students expect if they're history or anthropology or political science majors?
Um, I'll speak broadly about the school's demands. I think students should know a few things coming in. Number one, we are unapologetic with the standards that we keep. We've heard the term rigor thrown around a few times, and that's absolutely the truth because I like to say that in humanities, um, birds fly, fish swim, humanities students read and write. That's just the natural order of things, right? And it's for a purpose. It is to prepare you for life beyond Flagler College. It's better for you to face rigor, to face setbacks, to face challenges, to face disappointment sometimes even at this level than it is when you go outside of our classrooms, right? Because that's the purpose of education is to push your boundaries. It's to force you into positions that may be uncomfortable, whereas you may have achieved in high school. This isn't high school anymore. There's a reason that 12 hours in college is considered full time and 40 hours is considered full time in the work week. For every hour you spend in class, you're expected to spend 3 hours outside of class on that topic. That's why you're a full-time student at 12 hours. The other thing that I'll stress is that C is what it is. A C means you're average. And anytime I teach a class, whether it's a senior level seminar in which it's all reading and discussion, or it's an intro level class where students are unfamiliar with some of the basic historical events that we discuss, you either improve from average or your work is not at average. That's how you're graded. Another thing that I'll say about this group in particular, about this school in particular, is that we all consider ourselves teacher scholars. Most of us are engaged in research outside of the classes that we teach. It's an extension of the class we teach, and you often have to dig in the website to find evidence that we are, in fact, teacher scholars, but we are engaged in research. We are recognized as leaders in our disciplines. We are Fulbright scholars. We are visiting professors at foreign institutions. Some of us have even been visiting professors at Ivy League institutions. It happens. You will be pushed, right? And the expectations will be high. An intro level class, I think for most of my colleagues, I can say at the 200 level when you come in, it's going to be basic knowledge in the field. It's going to be mostly lecture driven. When you move up to the 300 levels, you're at a sophomore, junior level class. For the humanities, we kind of shift some of those responsibilities and it's partial lecture, partial discussion. When we get to the 400, the senior levels, it's all seminar. It's discussion in my classes. And the reading, the responsibility shift fully from my side of the podium to yours. So as you escalate in your advancement, so too do, sort of the requirements and the responsibilities so that you're growing at each level of your matriculation at Flagler College. The results speak for themselves. We have had students in all of the fields that are represented here go to prestigious postgraduate institutions, whether it's business, whether it's economics, and those are outside of our school, by the way, or whether it's in science, liberal arts, law, history, right? I'll end with an anecdote because I kind of like to tell stories. I guess as a historian, that's one of the things that we do, right? I was studying abroad, and you'll have that opportunity as well to participate in some high impact study abroad classes. I'll also have the opportunity, if you distinguish yourself, to contribute to some of these research projects that professors are engaged in, like our scientists, like a book that I'm currently working on, right, as an independent study student. But I remember traveling not too long ago with a young lady who came in, and she told me that my very first class at Flagler was your intro class, and my very last class was the study abroad class. And I asked her what was the best thing about studying at Flagler College, and she said, "You knew what we were capable of, you got to know my writing, and you always held me accountable." And I said, "Well, what was the worst thing about studying at Flagler College?" She said, "You knew where I was capable of, you got familiar with my writing, and you always held me accountable." So there is a flip side. Your professors get to know you, and they get to know what your capabilities, your potentials, your strengths, and your weaknesses are. And we will work on those for 4 years. So welcome to Flagler, and I hope to see you soon.
Thank you, Dr. Butler. Professor Thomas, so education is kind of its own thing here at Flagler because it's a certification program that works with the state. So maybe you could talk a little bit about what that would involve, at least in their first year for students coming in.
Absolutely. So, in your freshman year, it would be ideal that you are registered for a course called EDU 202, which is Introduction into Child and Adolescent Development in the Education Setting, which is a prerequisite course for EDU 321, which is a general methods course. And so, with the combination of those two courses, as well as EDU 241, which is our professional development course, you are on the pathway to becoming admitted into our program. And so, since we have certification pathways with the state of Florida, there are some extra requirements that are mandated by the state, which would be maintaining a 2.5 GPA, nothing below a C. As Dr. Butler had already kind of gone over, what is a C and what does that mean? Of course, our mission is to make sure that you are growing into the most impactful educator possible. So with those requirements, your GKT, your grade average, an application to be admitted into the department, which also requires dispositional rubrics by 2 faculty members. And so each semester we have students that meet those requirements, are admitted into our department, and then continue their journey. With that said, there are other courses that you can take during your provisional experiences. And I will say that they're very unique in the fact that even though you're a provisional student, you have opportunities to take theory to practice, going from your classroom setting and into the field. And so one course specifically is general methods. So I don't drive you, but I will personally meet you at a K-8 academy, and you'll have the opportunity to do 4 hours of observation in a classroom setting, whether that be your first semester of freshman year or your second semester. And it allows you to take all of your general methods understanding and see it in practice, and also kind of figure out, is this where I need to be? Is this what I want to do? And so we've been very successful getting our students in front of other students, right? K-12 students early in their experience to ensure that this is something they are passionate about. Because, every student that comes to Flagler has their own journey. Some of our students will stick with their major. They'll add minors. They'll add another major, add 2 more minors, and really immerse themselves into their passions, which doesn't have to be linear in itself. And so between that course, I would say your freshman year, or EDU 309, which is also housed in a local elementary school, with the opportunity to have a community integrative volunteerism aspect to it, you have various opportunities in your freshman year to really take what you're learning and apply it outside of the classroom in real K-12 classrooms. Something I forgot to mention earlier when we talked about majors, we also have education minors. So often we'll have psychology majors and education minors, or business majors who minor in ASL. So we do have those 2 minor pathways. And so I just want to wrap it up and say that I would say, yes, you really need to meet your classroom and your workload and organization. And the more you put in, the more you're going to get out. You're investing in yourself. And that's what we're here to do, is invest in you as well. But you are leading that investment. I would also say that embrace the feedback, right? We talked about already how you're going to get feedback in your writing. We're going to get to know you on a personal level, and we are here for your journey. But it's really important that you take that feedback if you truly want to transform, which I know you're going to do. So I look forward to working with you. Embrace the feedback and work hard and ask questions.
Thank you so much. And I'll add, I mean, that's a lot, guys, right? And I know a lot of you students are probably watching this thinking, oh my goodness. The other side of all of this is the resources that we have to support you. So one thing I would say is your professors will have office hours every week. Office hours aren't for when you're in trouble. They can be if you have challenges, but go to office hours. Your professors want you to come, whether it's to talk more about the subject, to get clarification, to talk about challenges you have. Um, Go there, talk to them. And it's also a chance to get to know your professors and look for other opportunities. I'm sure you've heard it many times as you kind of were looking at the right school for you. One of the wonderful things about Flagler is your ability to get to know your professors. Um, Kind of to jump off something Dr. Butler said earlier, one of the great things about Flagler is you won't fall through the cracks. It's also one of the worst things potentially for you about Flagler. Um, so there's lots of resources beyond your professors. Obviously, you'll have academic advisors. You'll have your own peers, students around you. And that's one of the things that I kind of want to talk about next with our panelists. Obviously, what you guys do in the classroom is key, right? We want you to accomplish great things. What you do beyond the classroom is also going to be key. In this day and age, we say it a million times, we don't even know the jobs that we are training you for at this point. I'm sure your students out there are far more technologically advanced than I am. So you know this only too well. And so it isn't just going to be about what you know, what you learn in the classroom. It's going to be about who you know and what opportunities you might grasp beyond that. And this is one of the fabulous things about Flagler is the extent to which we have opportunities beyond the classroom. So that's what I'd kind of like to talk to our panelists a bit about, how students can not only kind of meet more people within their major, kind of build a peer group there, but also other opportunities they might have to do things beyond the classroom. So Dr. Butler, let's start with you.
Yeah, I think that is a great topic for discussion because one of the things that we want to foster in humanities is a learning community, something that exists to where when students come in, yeah, you are going to have the deer in headlights look. Whatever discipline it is you're in, it's going to be new. It's going to be intimidating. I remember that it was for me when I was in your shoes, right? But one of the things that we've really worked to foster within the humanities programs is the fact that senior students who have been here longer than 2 or 3 years, right? They take the lead in helping others. You guys aren't competing against each other. You are cooperating with each other. Everybody's learning together. It's not a zero-sum game where one student prospers or suffers at another student's expense. That's not the way it works. There will be clubs. There will be study abroad opportunities. And the other thing that I'll come back to is something that I mentioned earlier. We have very few graduate programs at Flagler College. So opportunities to get involved with research, independent studies, conferences, all of those resources go to undergraduate students. There are very few of my peers in history who make opportunities for independent studies, for research seminars, for research assistantships, for undergraduate students that you will get here at Flagler College. One of the things that I have seen is that those programs that Dr. Cremona are alluding to, and that I've kind of highlighted a little bit, our study abroad programs, our research seminars, our research assistantships, basically a research assistant independent study. Those are the elements that graduate programs and employers focus on. Every student's had classes. Every student may have a study abroad opportunity, right? But the type of study abroad opportunity or the type of research assistantship, the type of direct engagement you have with your faculty member is something that employers and graduate schools actually notice and they ask students about because those opportunities are becoming more incredibly rare at the undergraduate level, particularly in places that throughout the country are experiencing financial shortfalls and have graduate students competing for those funds. You won't have that at Flagler College. So that's another way that As Professor Thomas said, we invest in you as an undergraduate here at Flagler College. And the fact that you're surrounded by teacher scholars, people who are good teachers, but are also engaged in their professions, means that the opportunities that open for you are going to be different than those that would open for students who maybe go to some of our peer institutions.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. And I'll just add to that for you guys. I'm actually a member of the humanities department as a political scientist, in addition to being the dean. And there's, as Dr. Butler said, on top of student clubs that you'll find, regardless of your major, you'll find something that fits your interests. We also have these competitive student organizations like Mock Trial. We have a very large freestanding law minor in our humanities department that is very successful, has a incredibly dynamic and successful mock trial team that travels around the Southeast competing with other schools. We have a model United Nations that has been incredibly successful in recent years. So look for those kinds of opportunities. Start building that resume early. And that doesn't just help you after college, it's going to make your experience at Flagler so much richer, and so much more supported, right? So, Professor Grant, things that students might be thinking about if they're in your department.
So, I've got a lot of things I wrote down for different types of ideas, but for all students at Flagler College, not just within my department, we do have the Learning Resource Center. And I think this is extremely important for students in my discipline in mathematics and computer information systems. And I know that there's tutors who tutor languages, they'll tutor sciences. The math group is the strongest group down there, and they're very close-knit. They love to meet new math majors. They love to help the students down there. They're lively, they're excited. The Learning Resource Center is a free place for you to get tutoring. Do not wait. You can actually go there, sign in, sit and do your work, and not even meet with a tutor necessarily. But it's another great way to meet with people. I always encourage students to go with someone else in their class to the LRC if they're struggling and talk to each other, and then maybe a tutor might come by if they need them. So I think that's super important. But again, that's not discipline just mine, but that's when students sometimes wait too long. As Dr. Cremona said, don't wait till you need to go to office hours. Don't wait till you have to get tutored by another student. Go ahead and go. And you'll also find that the students are wealth of knowledge because they've had every professor that you're about to take. And they'll tell you about their personalities. They'll tell you about how they teach. They'll tell you all sorts of things. I know with my courses in our discipline, we have a lot of guided notes. They have all the guided notes for our classes down in the LRC. Students can reference them. I have two other academic things that I thought of. One was to go to the career development services as quickly as possible, get to go to some of their information sessions that they have, look for internships. I have a son who graduated a year ago, and I know he has had great opportunities, but he had 2 internships while he was while he was a student. And that's something in our department I'm really been pressing forward and trying to help our students get internships while they're at Flagler College in the summer, or a few hours a week during the academic year. Not only does it give you real work experience, but it also allows you to meet people that are in the discipline, and they can kind of guide you on where you need to be. The other thing is have fun with your clubs. It doesn't have to be in your discipline. Go to the gym. You'll meet people in group fitness exercise, group exercise classes. And if you go into class, put your phone down and talk to the person sitting next to you. Don't text your friends while you sit there and wait for the instructor to start class. Start talking to people next to you. That's how you're going to get to know each other. That's the first thing I say to my class. I said, okay, put your phones down, ask the person next to them a question. I put silly questions up, but they get to know each other in the class. So I think that's super important. These are your people, and you got to get to know them. They're there for you. We're there for you. We want to cheer you on. So that's that.
Awesome. Thank you. Dr. McGinley. the sciences and maybe also Dr. Dwaron, who's kind of our biology coordinator. So I know there's a lot of opportunities for students in your department.
Yeah, I'll just talk briefly about kind of research opportunities and then let Dr. D fill in anything she would like to as well. So we have 13 members of the science department, and I'm pretty sure all 13 are active in their respective kind of discipline within science. So using myself as an example, I do work in the estuary, so we do work with fish and sea turtles, and a lot of my stuff requires lots and lots of student volunteers, and most of it doesn't require any experience. So what I have found is helpful is volunteering for those opportunities. You're going to see the same people over and over again. I will echo what Dr. Grant said. Talk to the people in your classes because you're in the same cohort. You're probably going to be taking classes with those group of people over and over and over again. Never think that you aren't experienced enough to do something. That is something I have heard before. Students say, well, I'm only a freshman. You know, undergraduate research experiences aren't for me. Working with Dr. Butler on a project is not for me. I'm only a freshman. I'm only a sophomore. You know, you will never know unless you ask. And that's part of the reason we love you coming to office hours. I can't tell you how many students have come and they've said, you know, I'm interested in X, Y, Z. And I'm like, I didn't know that. So you should talk to Dr. D. You know, I think she has an opportunity in a research project. I've learned so much about students having that one-on-one conversation. And don't wait to have that one-on-one conversation. You know, it's hard for you to figure out where you want to go after Flagler. You haven't even gotten here yet. And now I'm talking about when you leave Flagler. But that's part of what we do. Our job is not just to go in a classroom, tell you a bunch of information, tell you how to do equations, tell you about, you know, the Vietnam War, whatever it might be. That is part of our job. Our other part of our job is mentoring you through the process of figuring out what you want to be when you grow up. And I can tell you, I don't want to speak for everyone here, but that is by far one of the most rewarding parts of my job. I still get regular emails and text messages from alums saying, hey, I just got a new job. And it's because of what I learned in your class, I was able to be successful, and what I learned in Dr. Dwaron's class. And thank you so much. You really prepared me for this. And that's not a one-off. We have students constantly coming back to us, and we love that. We love hearing where our students are at. So don't just make an effort to talk to other students. Make an effort to get to know us. Now, like any group of people, you may find there's some grumpy, curmudgeonly people named Dr. Mike Butler, but everyone else is really nice. And, you know, I say that tongue in cheek, but talk to us. We really, really are interested in knowing about you and knowing what you want to do and how we can help you get there, because that's why we came to a teaching college, is we want to interact with students. We don't want to have a 300-person lecture hall. We want to be able to have you come to our office hours and know you as soon as you walk in, because we've had you in 3 classes or 4 classes. So I could go on and on. It's something I'm very passionate about, getting to know students and helping them get where they want to go. So I'll stop there. I'll turn it over to Dr. Dwaron if she wants to add anything else about science.
So that was a really good overview for the sciences. The one thing that I'll add is keep an open mind. I think sometimes we tend to like put our blinders on and be like, oh, well, I'm passionate about sharks and all I want to do is study sharks, right? We get a lot of those at Flagler College and we love it. But also that doesn't mean that you can't be involved in like going to study water chemistry in our local estuary, or it doesn't mean that you can't tag along to your professor who's going to go study plants in a salt marsh, right? All of those experiences, even if they're not like in your niche interests, kind of grows you as a scientist and allows you to like learn the techniques and tools. And even if they're not in your well, for one, you might discover a new passion, right, along the way. But even if you don't, even if you stick with the sharks, right, those skills, you can talk about them later when you talk to future employers or put them on your resume and get really solid letters of references from those professors. And they will like really help you in the future, right? So don't try to limit yourself. And likewise, if you are like your goal is to be a physician, right, and you want to be pre-med or something along those lines, that doesn't mean that you can't go out in the field and study the ecosystem, right? We have opportunities that are more lab-based and more human health related, but try everything, right? And that's how you grow and develop as a scientist. So I'll stop there.
Can I add one thing, Dr. Cremona and Dr. Dwaron?
Absolutely.
Don't even limit that to your major.
Some
of the most successful students I've seen have minored in psychology or history or writing. So if you have more than one interest, explore that while you're here. We love people who love learning. So don't just go, I'm a scientist, I can only do science, right? Explore the other things out there.
Yeah, I want to add to that. Dr. McGinley kind of took some of the thoughts out of my head. Don't just look at it as your major. Very rarely in life will you have the opportunity to do something just because you want to. And if you see a class that interests you, whether it's in science, whether it's in education, whether it's in religion and philosophy, history, math, criminology, whatever, if it sounds cool, if you want to take a class on serial killers, guess what? It's offered. You want to teach a class on the Vietnam War, guess what? It's offered. So don't just restrict yourself to your major. One of the good things about our gen ed program and one of the good things about our majors is that we have a number of elective hours, and those electives can be anything. You will never have the opportunity in life to do something just because you want to, like you will as a college student. So keep that in mind as you progress.
Thank you. And I want to come back to that in just a second in terms of kind of your major, your minor, the choices you've already made. You might be watching this right now and thinking, oh, maybe I want to major in something else, or maybe I want a double major. And I'd definitely like to spend a couple of minutes talking about that. But before we do that, Professor Thomas, some of the things that education students might do to engage beyond the classroom.
So, as part of many of your experiences, you'll have early and mid, and then your final internship. So you have early field, which is observations in the classroom. You also have practicums, which are tied directly to a specific course, with assignments that correlate. For example, our diagnostic reading course is related to being in the field and working with a student one-on-one and completing a case study. So as many of the other professors already mentioned, there are assignments within your program experience that are basically increasing the independence of your skill set. And so the goal, right, towards the end of your experience would be that you're independent, you're sustainable, you have all these skills, and you have that stance as a lifelong learner to problem solve and be successful in the workforce. And so specifically in your senior year, I will see you in junior internship and also internship, which are that final senior year in which you're placed in a year-long internship. And so all the way from pre-planning with education mentors in the field, all the way until, I guess, May, if we're talking about this year, you would complete that year-long experience where you're supervised, you're supported by clinical supervisors, and you're able to take, like I said, the theory to practice. And so within both of those senior seminars, I will see you, but I will also support you in action research. And so even, we're talking about being research practitioners, but also giving you that skill base so that you're able to create your own professional learning within your senior year and then beyond in your K-12 career. One small tidbit I wanted to go back is the LRC. So the Learning Resource Center is there for you, right? It's housed in the library. There are tutors in every field, very kind, approachable senior students, junior students that are very knowledgeable. You can go in there, you can sign up, you can get your papers revised, you can study and just have a quiet space. But I wanted to advertise that you can also complete group work in there. So you can, let's say you're in a EDU 321 class, and you have a group project, right? You can actually take your group, sign up for a time, have a table ready there for you, for your group to meet. Because sometimes the complexity, right, is being able to meet and come together, but also have support when you need it. And so whether you use the tutors that are available, one could easily sit with you. Like we have already mentioned that some of these students have already gone through the process that you will be experiencing. And so they're there to support you in those assignments as well. The other thing I wanted to express is that we have a career development center. And so in education, there are certain courses that we collaborate on. Like, for example, in October, we have an education networking fair that we've created. This will be our second year doing it. There are also times when the librarians will come into our courses to help with research, as well as, making sure resumes are ready. So thinking of those kind of end of experience type of skills and tools that you'll need in the future. But I just wanted to also advertise when you graduate, right? You become an alumni, you're always part of our Flagler family. And so something that I think maybe goes under the radar is that you always have access to the Career Development Center. So you graduate, you need to refresh your resume, or you want to switch roles a little bit and you need to brush up your LinkedIn or whatever it may be, the Career Development Center is something that is there for you as a resource even after graduation. All to say, there are resources here and support here within your Flagler College community. So I would definitely use them at your disposal. We have a lot of support. That's something that's very unique, whether it be your course professor, your department, and beyond. I mean, really, everyone here at Flagler is here to support our students. That's why we're here. There's one other thought I had. That's what it was. So I know our question kind of veered a little bit. So one of the pieces that was mentioned by Dr. McGinley was community. And so in education specifically, we have provisional students and also senior students, which are junior interns, which is my course. And we have generated a saint to saint mentorship. So we actually have senior education majors mentoring very, informal provisional students. And so our goal is to create that community space so that our students feel supported, but also the friendships go beyond graduation.
Thank you. So we are getting a little short on time, but I want to give Dr. Litzinger an opportunity before we move on, and I know we have at least one or two questions. Professor Litzinger, what are some things people in students in the behavioral sciences might look for in terms of activities beyond the classroom and ways to interact with their peers?
I thank you very much. I promise I'll be brief since we are short on time. But I loved that Professor Thomas mentioned that alums are always a family, because I think I speak to that directly, and that you're always welcome back in a number of various ways. When Dr. Grant said, "Put down your phone and talk to the person next to you," you will make lifelong friends. It brought me back to one of my best friends still today. I met because we started talking. We were next to each other in a seat. I was in her wedding. She was in mine. You will make lifelong friends that way. I highly encourage it. Speaking about academic advising, not that I do this often, but in the summer, but at 3:00 or a little after 3, I'm meeting with a student on Zoom for academic advising, that finds some time in their schedule during the summer that they're, trying to maybe change trajectory. And so we're always available for that. whether it's during the semester, which is preferable, but also during the summer. I mean, that just goes to, again, I think, speak to what a family that we are, and we're there for you and want you to succeed. Particularly in behavioral sciences, I already mentioned we have a psychology club. We have honor societies. Our honor society is one of the most active It's one of the most active honor societies on campus. So we provide all sorts of events and include our new students to take part in career fairs and graduate school panels. Study nights, movie nights, anything to help build that community. And then speaking of the community, we have a very strong internship program because we have made a lot of connections over the years, and it's available for all of our behavioral sciences majors to take advantage of. And of course, research and action. We have that as a very strong alternative for students that maybe don't want to do an internship, but they want to get involved in research and planning to go to grad school. We have lots of field work opportunities and research opportunities that are available to students who are interested. So I'll just end it with that.
Thank you so much. So one thing I wanted to say before we kind of turn to questions, and this has come up a little throughout the last hour, this question of kind of changing disciplines, changing majors, or doing a double major and a minor. In fact, most of our students at Flagler have something beyond a single major, whether it's a major and a minor or a double major. Some of our craziest students have 2 majors and 2 minors. So it is possible. And what I'd really encourage any student to do as they come into Flagler is to think about that. Professor Doiron mentioned, move out of your comfort zone. You might come into Flagler knowing this is what I want to do 4 years from now, but keep an open mind, and try different things. And, one of the things that I think really distinguishes Flagler, even from other schools our size, is we have liberal arts, we have pre-professional programs. We do both of those things exceptionally well at Flagler. Even beyond my school, the business school, the School of Creative Arts and Letters, we all work very well in conjunction with each other, and we encourage students to cross those boundaries. So just because you're in the School of Liberal Arts and Sciences, that doesn't mean you shouldn't be going to Business Week or competing in the Lions Cage that they have, or going to Com Week and seeing what kinds of speakers and events that they do. Take advantage, and do it beyond your own comfort zones. Think about what might be a good match for your major. You might be a political science major. Have you thought about maybe doing something in data science to go with that? Right? You're gonna get those skills. It's for us to really help you get those skills that will make you stand out in that job market. And we have what you need to do that at Flagler. So I just really want to encourage you, and don't be concerned. What if I decide that, I declared my psych major and maybe I want to change it? Students change their majors frequently in their first couple of years, and it's fine to do that. As you explore different things through our core courses, we encourage you to think about those things. So with that, I did want to leave time. I believe we have a question or two. I'm going to look to our coordinator, Holly, here.
Yes, there's a question about what are you all looking forward to most this next year?
Okay, I love that question. Who wants to go first? What are we most looking forward to?
I can go first if no one else wants to. I'm not teaching a core class this semester, but what I'm most looking forward to is, it's going to sound cliche and kind of, maybe lame, but as the first day of the fall semester approaches, like I start getting butterflies. I get like really excited. Like it's my first day of school. So what I'm looking forward to fall is kind of a really cool semester because it's a new crop of students coming in. These are students that we might be seeing for 4 years. Some of them may stay in our major, some of them might not. But I just get excited meeting a new group of students because y'all bring such energy and passion when you come that it's infectious. And I like meeting new students. So that's what I'm looking forward to most.
Thank you, Dr. McGinley. And I would add to that. I've been at Flagler since 2004, so a really long time. And every year at graduation, I get really sad because I see all these, wonderful students that I've known for 4 years, and I'm like, oh, I'm going to miss them so much. But I also know that that coming fall, I'm going to meet a whole new crop of students that I'm going to become very attached to for the next 4 years. And that is always really exciting. What we have as faculty to look forward to really is you guys coming in. Dr. Butler.
Yeah, I'll add something that I'm excited about that ties specifically to a program and an opportunity for students. When I say we, as one of the historians on campus, I was actually approached by city leaders for the need to write a new handbook that's used to train city tour guides, right? Well, through collaboration with Dr. Cremona and a few other people, what has happened is that we have turned this opportunity that was given to a professor into a class. We had an application process, and we had 8 students who have applied to join the seminar in which students are going to rewrite using historical primary documents under the supervision of me and Dr. Trevor Bryant. We are going to have sections of the city tourist handbook rewritten. We're going to get to give a formal presentation. When I say we, I mean the students are going to get to give a formal presentation to the city commissioners. It's going to be endorsed by the city by the end of this semester. So these are the opportunities that occur, particularly when you're studying history in the nation's oldest city. Things like this happen quite organically. And we have the opportunity as individuals to do this, but why not turn this into a course that is co-taught, extend the opportunity to students, and, I hate to be cliched, but a sinking tide, oh yeah, a rising tide rises all boats, right? So that's one of the courses that I am looking forward to. And the other answer would be college football season.
Yeah, and we have a lot of new opportunities. We just started a program this year that'll go into full force this fall called Saints in Public Service, where we're promoting internships with the county. I'm meeting with members of the City Commission in a week to talk about opportunities for students to do policy analysis for them. So there's tons of those types of things. We are almost out of time. So one thing I did want to say to everyone before we wrap up, August 24th, we will have Meet Your Majors from 9:30 to 3:30 that day. Please be sure to attend. You'll get to meet your professors and other students that are coming in just like you in whichever major you've selected. Hopefully you'll get the opportunity to go to more than one. And explore all your options. Like I said, even if you're in the School of Liberal Arts and Sciences, that doesn't mean you shouldn't explore options for courses or even disciplines in the other 2 schools. Make the very most of everything that you will have on offer here at Flagler. In our last couple of minutes, anything else anyone's looking forward to this coming year? No?
Does Dr. Butler know that we don't have a football team? I'm assuming our students do too.
Well, yeah. What's the
It's in the
t-shirt?
future, huh?
We're undefeated in football.
We are undefeated. Thank you. What a great way to end.
Well, it was a general question, what are you looking forward to? And I have Flagler stuff, but I'm also a human being, man. I have my interests outside the college. I'm a real live person.
And Flagler has lots of other sports, right?
We do.
We have
We do.
excellent.
And I think that's worth considering. If you are looking to a school with an SEC tradition and a big Greek life, Flagler College is not for you. And there's no shame in admitting that. Flagler is not for everyone, but for people who do find their fit here, there's no better place you can be.
Right. Well, thank you all for being here. And we really look forward to seeing you all. It's exciting to have all the life back on our campus come August. So we can't wait for you to come. And please do not hesitate to reach out to myself, to faculty members. You can find all of our contact information on the Flagler website. And we would be more than happy to answer any questions. Thank you and bye-bye.